network marketing company, but to be where we phase in that because we want to be more family, not the old MLM. But how many of you guys know about MLM or been a part of MLMs? Are you guys tired of that? Yeah. I don't like the reason why, because I don't like babysitting. And a lot of companies, I mean, people are in MLMs, they babysit. I don't want to do that. So with this tool that we have, it helps you not babysit, because everything that Ron and the company set up on this app, it does everything for you. Everything. Everything. I mean, we do house meetings, which is great because you get the fellowship and all that, but you really don't have to do house meetings. We got an app. I've been in the supermarket the other day, and this guy, he just kept bending over looking, kept looking. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm gonna swing that way. He just kept looking. And I'm like, but I hope, I forgot I had my Euphoria shirt on. He's like, what is that? I'm like, listen, I ain't got that much time. Let me get your information, send him the app, boom, it was good. Okay. So, before I go on, let me bring up my buddy. I've been knowing Ron, like I said, for almost 10 years. And the reason I like Ron is he's genuine. You know, when you meet people, you meet their representative. Ron doesn't have a representative. Ron is just going to be Ron. He's been in this industry for many years. He's been a CEO for his other company over 17 years. That's where we met. He's a family man. He loves his family. He loves his kids. And one thing about Ron, I can tell you this. If Ron is up here and his phone rings with his kids, this meeting will be on hold. Seriously, because that's what we like. Families first. And what Ron, when he started this company, I've never seen a CEO do this before. Just go out and travel to each person's home and help you guys spread the word about Euphoria. How cool is that? Very humble man, a guy, lives up in Utah, 45 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes, and he's open. And the great thing about Ron, because he knows the situation happened to me 10 days ago, you know what he said? He said, why don't you just get the kids and y'all just come on up here and hang out with us. You know, we're gonna do that, but right now we're going through some changes with all this stuff. But how many of you guys know a CEO do that? None. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring up my best friend, one of my best friends, my buddy, my partner in crime, our CEO, Ron Witt.
Well, it's all downhill from here. Man, that always makes me feel a little bit sweaty, actually. So I'll sit right here. I'm good. Where do you want me to sit? Right here. Okay. I get sweaty when they start introducing me because I'm actually I'm actually really shy, and I have to overcome it every time I get in front of people, just because I raised a daughter who's autistic, and she's been my mentor my whole life. She's very gentle, she's very kind, and she's the type of person that you have to manage your energy around when you're with her 24/7. If you're happy, she's happy. If you're a little frustrated, she's a little frustrated. You know, so she kind of mirrors your emotions. And so I took her to a doctor to get her looked at. And the doctor spent a lot of time looking at me. And I'm like, man, we're here for my daughter. But the funny thing is that she's high on the spectrum, and I'm medium on the spectrum of being slightly autistic. And I always wondered why. I always remember phone numbers from high school. I don't need a calculator. You know, I just don't need one. And I always thought that everybody was thinking that way. I look down a lot because typically autistic people, their sensories are very high. So I feel everything. And I hope that's a good thing, because it's taught me to have a good intention the whole time. If you can feel things and you have a good intent, you can do things. So tonight I'm doing it. So it's good to be here with everybody. Love Hallie. I'm not shocked that she has no red markers on her genetic paper. The rest of us are just riddled with red, you know. But I feel really blessed and privileged to represent this technology. It's one of those kind of things that you sort of get out of the way because it's much bigger than all of us. You know, every time I see one of these DNA reports, it reminds me of generations of people that are speaking through your genetic test, through your DNA, saying something. And you know, I don't have a planned speech tonight, but I think the thing that's really hit me the hardest with this technology, and not even following any script that I've ever followed right now, but it's this. I spent years being a raw food lecture guy. I was a CEO, senior executive at the largest essential oil company in the world. I've been schooled along the way, and I used to teach prevention, and it always felt so safe to use the word prevention. Yeah, prevention. And we'd always feel like we were safe. And I don't feel safe anymore when I talk about prevention, and here's why. If it were true, the prevention that we've known the last couple of decades or whatever, then people who smoke a pack of cigarettes a day couldn't live to be 100 years old. And there's lots of those people. And then there's people like me who just walks past a casino and I smell secondhand smoke and I'm sick. Or on the flip side, fitness icons dropping dead of a heart attack in their prime. These are genetic dispositions. So the word prevention is not true the way we used to believe in it. Prevention for you is different than prevention for me, thanks to these DNA reports. So the question is, what are you preventing, right? And it's called precision prevention because it's individual, it's individualized. So my background is I worked my way up through some big companies. I think they tolerated me on the way there, to be honest with you, because I've always been kind of a free spirit, you know. I don't wake up for money, to be honest with you. If there's purpose involved and I can make money, then I think I'm an asset. If there's no purpose involved and it's transactional, I'm a liability. I mean, there's no sense in having me around. But there's a difference between a transactional type of company and a transformational type of company. You can do transactions in a transformational sort of company where we can all stand for being better as human beings first and foremost. And that's kind of what drives me. It's not how much money can I make and what neighborhood can I live in and what car can I drive and all those things. Those are all very secondary to me. It's how do I feel in my own skin? You know, what kind of impact do I get to make on other people's lives? Really, and not just say it. And so I retired a couple of years ago. I've been really blessed along the way. If you would have known me, you know, as a younger lad, you would have never predicted that I, you know, would have had anything happen good along the way. I was just too free-spirited. But I was raised by a single mom, a very strong, powerful woman. She taught me so many great things. She's my hero today. We were poor, never knew we were poor growing up because community was the currency for me growing up. And when you're raised that way, it never leaves you. You just learn to love people. And it's hard. In fact, when you're raised that way and you make money, you're actually asking yourself, how do I act with money? Because you've never had it before. And you have to really adapt to money. And so I've adapted. That wasn't so hard, but I did overcome it. How many of you have felt financially sick before? Be honest. It's a real thing, folks. So the idea around money is just the energy you give to it is what you get. It's neutral. It makes good people better. It makes bad people worse, perhaps. I think money is there to serve people and not vice versa. So with that in mind, I go out and get it. You know, let's go do it. There's trillions of dollars out there that's not running from you. You know, it's out there. So it's really the meaning that you give to it. So I get a call, and I wanted to spend time with my children. It's really what came down to my retirement. And I have small kids, and I love being a dad more than anything in the world. I love when there's a kid in the room. It just changes the whole tone of everything. Love it. The whole idea of act like an adult sounds very unattractive to me, you know. But I wanted to be in my kids' classroom, and I took a couple years off is what I did. And I just went to their class, coached their football, their baseball, their basketball, that fun stuff. I love to play ball. It's my whole life. And then I get a call, and the call that I received is kind of what Rodney was just talking about is, hey, Ron, there's a technology that's screaming your name. You know, would you be interested in moving to Dallas? And I'm living in St. George, by the way. That's where I live. And I'm like, well, let me go see the technology. So I went and saw the technology. And they told me just what you heard from Rodney, from Hallie, that there's medical grade labs. You know, they're HIPAA compliant and they have all the CAP and CLIA certifications for quality. These are big boy labs. They specialize in DNA tests. And what they do is they do the anti-aging panel of your DNA, sort of the dashboard of your health. And I'm listening because I'm really a novice, by the way. So I'm listening going, okay. And they said, then we bought the second piece, which is worth a lot of money. A bunch of giddy scientists who study nutrigenomics, the combination between nutrition and genetics. They study that, and they spent 24 years writing a program that would tune into your algorithm, your blood work, your DNA, if you will, so that they can make a product specifically for you. Now, these are scientists, and if there's any scientists in the room, you'll probably appreciate this comment. I don't think they needed 24 years. I don't think they would have ever brought it to market. I think they're just busy developing, right? So we just bought it and said, you know, you're done. We're gonna take this to market. So they were, don't get me wrong, they're very, very happy when they see their work now blessing your life today. We bought that. So the barrier to entry here is pretty tough, to be honest with you, because it'll make 400 million unique formulas. The theory is there's no two test results alike, therefore there's no two formulas alike. So that's what makes this really, really special. It gives you a 35-page report. It gives you a supplement facts. Is this from yours, Rob?
Yes.
Do you have your supplement facts in there?
Yeah, everything's in here.
Inside here, neither one of us, because you're wearing your readers, you're not supposed to give this to me, bro.
It's too far, right?
I just look at the pictures.
It's in the back.
Why don't you find it for him?
I got it.
Okay.
All right. Here it is. I'm just kidding. That's not it. I'm just being stupid. Okay, here it is right.
Got you on the hot chip couch.
Anyways, what you get
It's in there.
is
It's on the very
a
last
supplement
page.
fact. Yeah, thank you.
Told you,
What it
Rob.
does is it tells you basically what you got in your actives to the microgram. Now, the thing that most people don't understand, oh, here you go, thank you.
It was the last page.
I told you he couldn't see. And there's no pictures.
Well, that's what it looked like. So it has your supplement facts, which is really kind of cool because I've been in so many meetings now around the country where somebody gets up and says, I have 73 ingredients, and I have 92 ingredients, and I have 88 ingredients. And it fascinates me because they're not just dropping powder in there, they're dropping clinical doses based on the peer-reviewed studies. So you couldn't make the cut of ingredients, plant-based ingredients, unless it had the peer-reviewed studies associated to it. So making it kind of the best of integrative medicine where you can use the science of DNA in the labs, but then use nature the way that it was intended to be used, and that is, if God made it, eat it. If man made it, leave it alone or eat it in moderation. I'm not a fanatic. I believe in living a little bit, but I think if you're still alive, you have that energy, and that energy is your life force. There's more technical words, but I'm just going to give a street version. And if you still have that life force, it means you can work a smartphone, right? Because if you didn't have the life force, the smartphone wouldn't work. And the whole idea is if you still have that life force, think of it as a bank account. And you make deposits versus withdrawals, and you're the account manager. And so I like the idea that it's plant-based, clinically studied, peer-reviewed studies, and that it's DNA-driven. And the machine that makes it, we call it the Nutritionator. We don't know what to call it. It's the only one on the planet. So again, the barriers to entry here are pretty sophisticated. So it scans your name and barcode, and then it drops all these ingredients in there specifically to you. While it's making it, your label is being printed to the side on there with your name on it, so nobody can sell this product on Amazon because, it'll start looking like you, Rodney. Although we've had some professional athletes join, and I've been dipping into their product. But long and short of it all is that this machine is spectacular. Your label's printed, and then check this out. When it's coming down the line and it's finished, because there's no two products alike.
There's one right here. We were talking about
Oh.
there, that's not the
This?
that's got the label.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there you go. It has your name on it. And then, believe it or not, where I come from, I work for these big giant companies, and when we run a batch of product, we would run 300,000 of these. So that's one batch. We'd pull one sample and we'd quarantine it. Guess what? Here, every single product that comes down the line, because it's unique, is deemed a batch. This is a batch. We have to pull a sample from every product that's made and quarantine it so that if you get sick, we can pull the lot number right here this month, go and grab it from quarantine, test it for cleanliness to prove that we didn't make you sick. kind of thing. So it is an extreme labor of love, and it's kind of putting an end to blind nutrition. And with all due respect, because I'm guilty of selling a lot of blind nutrition in my career, but with all due respect, blind nutrition is try this and try that, and try this and try that, and oh, this is the latest, and this. Look, your health is as timeless as the sky is blue. It's not a trend. So when you hear the latest superfruit or the latest coffee with fungus in it, my herbs were growing higher on the mountain. Oh, but my superfruit has a higher ORAC. Oh, but my coffee has more fungus. My lavender kicks your lavender. I mean, who fights over lavender? People do now. They fight over lavender. I've decided, no offense to the essential oil enthusiast, I am one. I've decided that essential oils nowadays are an invitation to lie. Tell me why your lavender is better than his. It's more pretty. I mean they buy from the same growers, and so it's become a little bit, it's not. If they're so beautiful and they're so still, then why can't we be beautiful and still with them? And that's kind of my whole message. I've kind of surpassed the latest product and things like that, and decided that the best product in business are the people, and it's the only sustainable product. So I don't have the skin for poker facing anybody. I don't have the skin for hyping another Me Too product. I just don't anymore. I just feel super blessed that I got a call to be the CEO of this company, and I'm now an owner of this company, and I can tell you that if anything, it's more of a servant-driven thing, because the whole conversation is just bigger than all of us. It truly is. It's something very, very special. Hallie made a point that people, right now, well, can I get this anywhere else? Here's what's happening in the marketplace right now. People are hearing about us, and believe me, they're flying to our manufacturing facility and knocking on the front door. Big companies that you guys know, giant. Can we buy Euphoria? Can we license this? Can we license that from you guys? And because what they're doing is they're using a DNA test as a weapon, not a tool. So they'll do your DNA test and say, okay, got your results. Looks like you need this bottle, this bottle, this bottle, this bottle, and this bottle. And it's one size fits all nutrition, defeating the purpose. So in this case, the DNA test, in my opinion, is being used more as a weapon rather than a tool. Here, it's used as a tool. We use it to make your formula. 24 years of giddy scientists programming this and bringing it to the marketplace. So, from a business perspective, those of you who are here who want to make money, this today represents day 122. We've done multi-7 figures in revenue, just warming up. We're just playing with it, to be honest with you. Not even throttling it yet. We're just starting to throttle this company. In fact, last night was probably the beginning of a throttle that we're doing as a company. It's the cell phone to the landline. I mean, it is. It's really something special. And I feel like why people say, why would you drive to Vegas and do this? For one, I have some of my best friends who live here, and I'm just not the kind of guy that's going to get in the corner of delusion in business just because it's going good. It doesn't mean I isolate myself. If anything, I get out there more with people and just, love the people and make sure that every experience is not taken for granted, and that's why I'm here tonight. Probably the biggest part that I'll just close with, because I don't need to go long, is that my whole passion above and beyond the transaction is the transformation of the person. And transformation, big or small, is transformation. Some people have big experiences. Some people just have little transformational moments in their life. It's all the same. And the coolest thing for me is when I sit down in a group here, just people from all different walks of life, different color, different belief systems. I'm just reminded more than anything that we are 99% identical. We bleed the same color. We all have a DNA. We belong together. And that's what really drives me. In my world, if you're human, you're the majority. And if you feel unloved, make yourself lovable. To me, that's a very sustainable way to view this world. Okay? And so that 99%, some people, we feel too much comfort, like, hey, we're 99% identical. We kind of start blending and we become invisible. And when we're invisible, we're no longer a mirror. And we're no longer a mirror, we're no longer teachers. people around us, and we deny the world you. But to me, it's that 1% that's left over. Like, that's what fascinates me. It's where my life's work has been the last decade. It's like, what is that 1%? And to me, it's that knowledge that there never has been or never will be someone as beautiful and as unique as you. Never. Just sometimes we forget. It's the awkward you. It's the brilliant you. It's the talented you. It's the nerdy you. It's the part of you that scares the crap out of you. You know? But to me, that's the part of you that liberates the rest of us. It makes us feel special and different. And if one-size nutrition were the answer, we wouldn't be the sickest generation ever. We wouldn't be the fattest generation ever. We wouldn't be the first generation projected to outlive our children. So our message is that you cut your losses and move on and step into your 1% and just own who you are. Nothing illuminates that message more than a DNA test. So we're witnessing the convergence of DNA identity with self-identity, and just completely owning it, and just being who you are to just inspire and liberate the rest of us. I think when we live to who we are, I believe it's a life-giving experience when we live inside of who we are. It's when we separate from who we are and we try to imitate someone or something out there. It's a form of sadness. It's a form of depression. And so the last thing I'll tell you is this, is that people ask me, well then Ron, one opinion, so I'm not know-it-all at all, but what is the secret to being so passionate and so happy and so joyous and so purpose-driven? And to me, I'm reminded of a time I was doing what's called the U of You. And I was doing one, this young girl, teenager, she raised her hand and she said, hey, what is self-esteem? And my heart just kind of, you know, there's this teenage girl sitting next to her mom and she raised her hand and had the courage to ask this because clearly she must have been struggling. And I gave her a really ridiculous answer. I'll never forget. I went home that night and the autistic side of me kind of just rehearsed the whole day, and I got to that point and I went, ugh, it was horrible. But I really gave some thought to what self-worth is. Society talks about self-worth like it's a tattoo, like it's some permanent thing. This person was raised with a high, this one with a low. How many of you feel it's a moving target? Sometimes we wake up and we feel amazing, like we can just take on the world. There's other days we wake up and we just like, what's my thing? What do I bring? What do I do? And so, to me, if you look at children, just how beautiful children are, just, they get it right. Children, they're so present, they're so loving, they're so resilient, they're so unassuming, they're so forgiving, they're so happy, they're so joyous, they're so present. You know, it's only us adults that get thick-headed. We just get thick-headed. I'm going to think about that for a few days. Oh, really? Kids don't. Boom, they're gone. No need to think about it, live. So, children, when you ask a child what they want to be when they grow up, they say anything. Because they can. They haven't learned to doubt yet. They haven't edited their words yet. It's only when they have that first friendship that breaks down, that first heartbreak, the first job misfire, blah, blah, blah. They wake up one day, we wake up one day and we've got a frown on our face now. And the smile lines are starting to convert to frown lines. How many of you have been in certain parts of the world where frown lines are the dominant lines on their faces? Have you ever seen anybody?
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Just frown lines. You're like, whoa, I've never seen those lines on a face before. True. So we wake up, we're like, what happened? So this is called dream separation. Because there's this thing about, you know, you're loving and intimate relationships. How many of you have been in a relationship that made you feel sick? If they're sitting next to you, you know. That was so bad.
She was in that relationship.
How many of you have been in a relationship that made you feel more alive than ever? There was no supplementation. Just a buzz going on there like this. And we use that as a...
Look at me.
Yeah,
She's looking at me.
yeah. But we used that buzz as a benchmark of what wellness feels like, and there was no supplement involved. So if you think that I'm here to sell you a bottle of nutrition, you're mistaken. There's a conversation here that says our dreams, when we're a child, we never doubted those intimate relationships. We never doubted like our financial dreams, what we're going to be as professionally. We never doubted physically how we're going to look and feel, or spiritually, that intangible spirituality that's bigger than you, so you don't get in the way. We never doubted getting in the community, and stop complaining about the community, but get out there and do something about it, right? Where there's nothing there for you, zero. See, children, that's how they operate. But when this happens, boom. We're just sucking up air, we're proving to the world how great we are at surviving. And we show our children how not to live, that we're good at surviving. So what happens is this. These people who are now just breathing, what are they looking for? Motivation. I don't think motivation's a bad word, but let me tell you something. It's for the uninspired. The uninspired don't. The inspired need no motivation. When you're inspired, you can't be stopped. When you watch sports and there's always a color commentator, rarely will they use the word, but when they do use the word, this player is playing an inspired game, it just means it can't be stopped. I don't know if you remember Michael Jordan at one point in the game, he couldn't miss. And he got up to the free throw line, he was closing his eyes, and the cameras were up, and he was just knocking down free throws with his eyes closed. And at that time, the announcer said he's just purely inspired right now. So I think of times in my life when I was inspired. Before I knew this conversation, I want you to think of times when you were, okay? That first crush I had on a girl in high school, her name was Linda, okay? Oh, was I inspired. Could not be stopped. Seriously. Didn't have a car yet. I bought her some flowers. I walked 3 miles to her house like I was just some weird kid, but just knocked on the door, gave him to her, didn't even get an acknowledgement, and walked home so happy. Nothing could stop that. Or the first time I bought a car. Now think of yourself. First time I bought that car. 2 or 3 jobs, employee of the month, got there early, left late, lazy teenager, but not when it's time to buy a car, ain't lazy, right? So I was inspired, couldn't be stopped. First time I bought a house, we have some real estate people here. Oh my gosh, you're signing paperwork. Like, what? How many houses am I buying? You know, there's so much paperwork. Can't be stopped, right? How many mothers we have in the room? Yeah. When a mother steps up for her child, she can't be stopped.
That's right.
During those 2 years, I took my daughter to cheerleading camps, and let me just get out of the way. So my point is this. When this happens, it's called dream separation. And when I talk about dreams, it's not the tooth fairy and the Easter bunny. It's your life. It's your life-giving purpose. And so this person is sucking down motivation like a Band-Aid on an empty soul. You want to be inspired again, where you can't be stopped in your life. Forget about this and just your life. The things that you do, that you're supposed to be doing in your world. Come back to this. Write down, your relationships and how you're going to design them instead of just let them happen. I'm going to design my relationships with my kids and my family. Number 2, write down what your profession and what kind of money you want to make, and do the things that you can, and evolve to the place of the things you love to do. Because when you do the things you love to do, you're never working, you're just doing it, right? And then write down your physical, how you want to look and feel again, and how the body is such a miracle. It'll reverse engineer itself back to health. All it needs is the proper raw materials. Hello, straight line raw materials, right to my right, okay? Straight line. Off your DNA. It's not my opinion, it's the DNA talking, not me, okay? And then community. Stop complaining about your community. Find something where there's nothing there for you, and go do it once in a while. Just go there and say, you know what, I'm here, and there's nothing here for me, and I will no longer be self-consumed in my depression and my pathetic story that I tell myself. I'm going to go serve the community. And then finally, spiritually, I'm not here to preach religion to anybody, but man, just acknowledging the intangible thread that's bigger than all of us. so none of us get in the way. When this happens again, and I'm just telling you, when this happens and you design it, you live your life by design, not by default. You see, some people walked in here tonight, looked in here and go, is this going to be any good? Some people walked in, it's good now. They just know what they bring. And I'm telling you, that's a choice. Every room that you walk into, that is your choice. Energy doesn't lie. We meet poker faces who walk in the room, they act like they, no. Just let go, man. Just be there. It's awesome. It's powerful, by the way. And what you want to do, in my opinion, is you want to be the most amazing human being possible and the most lethally skilled at what you do. Lethal. Don't hold yourself short. I meet nice people everywhere. They get just railroaded in business. Then I meet really skilled people that are not very nice. But imagine if you combine your greatest self to your greatest skill set inside your sweet spot, who you are. That's something I want my children to say. I want my children to go, yeah, that's how my dad lives right there. I don't want them to understand that I'm just a good survivor. I want them to know that I'm a good person who lives his or her truth, right? So that's what this company is about, is the convergence of our self-identity with our DNA identity, center point to who we are as human beings. So the inspired need no motivation. So that's what I talk about when you reunite with your dreams again, which is a choice tonight. Boom, stay present to it. You'll have happy feet, and you'll start attracting, and people